Well, thank you, everyone. I'm just coming out of a week-long festival, so my mind is still very blurry. So if not everything makes sense, I ask for your understanding. Um, yeah, so I'm going to talk a bit about like the work that I've been doing the last weeks, more like the last couple of years, because it's kind of one story that goes together. Um, I'm not necessarily an artist or like not with a huge artistic practice like all the other people that are here. It's something that has been coming more recently in the last, like I would say, 3 to 4 years, with more focus on that. It really started with like this first piece, which is called Iwakura, which I used to live in Japan for a long time, almost 10 years. And together with the Japanese ambient musician Kazuya Nagaya and the visual artist Ali Demiro, we created this piece for the planetarium for the full dome, which really explored kind of the Japanese Shintoist relationship with their natural surroundings. So the idea that in Shintoism, like things in nature have spirits. So be it rocks or be it mountains, be it waterways, etc. And we wanted to explore that with this piece, which looks something like that. So what we did was we got support from the Goethe Institute. We spent like 2, 3 weeks in the Japanese countryside in an area called Kumano, which is supposed to be like the birthplace of Japanese spirituality, a lot of natural surroundings. Um, we spent 2 weeks basically just like looking for rocks and waterfalls and the ocean in order to like get a lot of footage of the natural surroundings and thinking about how we might translate that feeling, the idea of spirits into an experience inspired by Japanese mythology. And what I really liked about that, I mean, there's many ways that Shintoism thinks about these spirits, but one way that really resonated with me is that a spirit basically just means if you have an encounter and you feel something. So I don't know if you see a waterfall and you have like this sense of awe and wonder, that is one way that the spirit makes itself known. Um, which I've definitely experienced many times in my life, and I didn't really have the language to talk about it before I really got into Shintoism. So this piece was a lot about thinking how can we like how can we recreate that sense of awe and wonder in a performance environment, in a screening environment for the full dome in order like to just like pass it on. And this has been touring for the last 2 years in different planetariums around the world. It was just in Melbourne at the Melbourne International Film Festival. And it's actually in Korea right now, a different version. It's at the Hyper Nature exhibition by Practice Festival in, I think it's in Seoul. I wasn't there to set it up, obviously, but if you have the chance to check it out, I can send you more information on that.
Yeah. What is that? I mean, Hanjung, you
It's
know that?
Sunyeon Kaka
Kaka,
presenting.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So there we made like a flat screen adaptation of the piece, which is the first time. Usually it was in the planetarium, but now we like made an adaptation for the flat screen. So if you have the chance, I think it's on for like about a month. It would be great to check it out. So that's kind of the first exploration in my work of this kind of like the natural environment, or like rather to say the kind of like relationship between technology and ecology and humans. Because one thing that we did here was because the full dome is like such a huge environment, like it has very high resolution. And the images or the videos that we've been taking, not all of them were like high enough quality to actually like project them. So we work with an AI super resolution system. So basically that you can upgrade the resolution of images that you have to like a higher resolution to project it, for instance, in the dome. And then like questions that come with that. It's like, because it's basically making up pixels that don't actually exist beforehand. It's just assuming that like there might be something in between the pixels that you already have, and it's filling that in. So there was a bit of a philosophical question of what that actually means when a system kind of fills in these gaps with something that it expects to see. And we've been doing different tests with like these kind of very textured ones. It worked really well. We tried it on like flowing water, and it didn't work at all. So it was like very glitchy and very kind of weird. So we were also like interested in what that might mean. So that was like one of the first pieces, and that was more about like showing kind of the sublimeness of nature in a like yeah, in a kind of positive way, I would say. I mean, unlike the next piece, which is Soundscapes of an Earthly Community, which is yeah, like a spatial sound installation performance that I've been working on since last summer. And here the idea, it's inspired by the work of this guy, Achille Mbembe, who's a Cameroonian philosopher. And he wrote this book, The Earthly Community, in 2022. And there he basically, like, he looks very much at the global scale, and he's describing like three different mega processes that are like responsible for the destruction of like humanity, of the earth, including like necro-capitalism, which says that like capitalism just destroys everything, like necro, like death, like capitalism just destroys everything until the very last bit. And he has like other things that he talks about, but like one of his kind of like appeals is that he calls for re-envisioning our more than human relations as an earthly community, and which is this concept. He says it's rooted in the finding the in common, so not necessarily saying that we're all the same, but like finding the kind of pieces that we like have in common, and focusing on that in order to like create our relations, while at the same time acknowledging the differences that we might have. So in the sound installation, I was really thinking about how can you sonically create something that might feel in common, even though like the sounds that you create might be different. I'm not sure if that makes sense. But yeah, the question of like how can you like sonically create a sort of feeling of in commonness. And that's really rooted in this idea of soundscape ecology, which this guy developed, Bernie Krause. So the idea that like our soundscapes are made up of geophonic sounds, so non-biological natural sounds like waters, rocks, wind, etc. Biophonic sounds, so the music of non-human organisms. So the sound of animals, etc. And then anthropophonic sounds, so the sounds that humans made, which for the sake of my purposes, I actually added another layer to it. So I separated technophonic sounds from human-made sounds, because I thought, at least, or I still think that it became like technophony became like a whole thing in itself. So it's hard to really just pack that into human-made sounds. This is what that looked like. Each kind of rendition of this piece was rooted in like a very kind of localized case study. The one I'm talking about now is what we presented last year at the Ukraine Carnival, which was really inspired by what is happening in Ontario, and especially the Ring of Fire, which is a huge like prospective mining site in northern Ontario, and the kind of impact that mining has on local communities, on local environments, etc. So like usually what I do, and that's me as kind of a researcher, I'm usually like a policy and governance researcher, and we have this methodology which we call situational analysis. So you kind of map all the different kind of factors, like actors, places, of a situation, in this case, like the Ontario Ring of Fire. So who are the people that are impacted? What are the conversations that they're having, etc. So here are just like some images that I just threw together in order to give an idea of like the human, the non-human communities that are impacted, the caribou, the mining camps, like the waterways, the machinery that goes into mining, etc. So that's usually the way that I start any of my pieces that I want to explore kind of conceptually, with this kind of situational analysis. And it's all like the Ontario Ring of Fire, like one of the critical minerals that is there is copper. So in the center you have a copper ore. And if we go back here, it's actually like a copper ore, um, that people were able to interact with in the exhibition space. So the spatial sound installation was centered around a centerpiece where a copper ore kind of was supposed to like represent that this little piece of like rock is bringing all these different kind of actors together, or it's affecting all these different actors. So yeah, also translating between the different scale. It's like such a small piece. I have it somewhere back there as well. That actually makes all these pieces move. So like showing kind of the discrepancy there a bit as well. Um, all to say, um, so when thinking about the idea of like how can you sonically represent the relationship between these different actors that we have here, in a way that you like go into an exhibition environment and kind of can encounter that in a way. In spatial audio theory, there's this idea, of object-based audio. So if you have several speakers, rather than you play one sound from one speaker, you like you can place a sound somewhere in space. So there's a virtual abstraction where like, okay, you can put a sound like up here or up there, or you can make it travel through like the space. So you can actually, um, yeah, yeah, place them. If you have like airports like I have, they also have spatial audio technology, and maybe you've tried it out before. You can place like your song to play like on the top right, and you can really have the sensation that okay, something is playing up here. So it's the same kind of concept. But for me, the question was like, okay, if I want to represent all these different actors, in the spatial audio environment and like show what their relationship might be, rather than object-based audio, which means I place a sound somewhere, I wanted to create subject-based audio. So basically, the sounds themselves, become subjects in their own right. So they make decisions of where they go in this space by listening to each other, by relating to each other. And in a way, then it becomes a testing environment for how different relationships might form. And the way, these are just some images, of what that looked like. And the way that works is that I developed what I call sonic agents. So, or sonic organisms is like the newest term that I expanded upon last week. So the sonic agents are entities that have sensors. So the sensor is just a simple microphone, and they listen to each other and their surroundings. So they listen to. So there's a multiplicity of agents in this space. They listen to the sounds that each others make, but as we see here, there's also like a microphone placed in the space that picks up what people are saying or doing in the space. And based on that input, the agent is doing two things. The agent at the bottom like reacts sonically with a generative audio model. So it takes an input from the space or from the other agents, And then based on what the model was trained on, it creates a sound. And the training of these sounds is representative of like the different actors that we have. I obviously wasn't able to recreate all of these actors because there's a lot involved. So I focused on the caribou, on the human communities that are impacted by it, and the machinery, water sounds, and bird sounds. So it's an abstraction for sure of like all the things that are involved, but a necessary one. And then, like based on the input that they get into the generative audio models, they actually react. So they create a sound in response to that. That's the one side of the agent, and the top side of the agent is where like the kind of the movement reaction comes in. So the mic goes in, it classifies a sound. So it says, okay, I'm listening to a bird. And then the classification goes into a large language model, and the large language model is doing two things. It's on one hand, it writes a diary entry to create a memory of actions. So it's like a diary. So today I was at Farmlanthern and I listened to birds and I had this experience. It was beautiful. Or there was a dog and it scared me. So it's creating this kind of like very tangible memory. And then for this Soundscapes of an Earthly Community, it decided what the action should be. So like the memory and the character of the agent said, oh, I listened to a bird, but I don't like birds, so I'm running away. And then you could actually translate the movement to like, oh, it's actually going to the other side of the space. So that's the kind of work that I've been doing with Soundscapes of an Earthly Community. And oh yeah, here's like a side note that I just wanted to share is that I'm still doing the mining stuff, but it's going in a very different direction. These are some experiments I've been doing like a few weeks ago, where I was quite curious to use generative AI to see what my hometown would look like if it would be a mining pit. So this is actually my home, and I live like somewhere on the top right. And using in-painting, I actually wanted to see what it might look like if it would be turned into a mining pit. It doesn't look cute. And here's another one that's like a test that I ran in Quebec. So there's like 31 lithium mines proposed in Quebec. Oh, what happened? Which is maybe like something to work on during the residency. I doubt there will be time, but it's definitely a project that I want to keep working on, just to show people the impact that mining might have and give that kind of like imaginary. All to say, going back to the sound stuff. The sound stuff is going into two directions right now. One direction that we're going to explore at the farm, and another direction that we've been exploring with a collective of people. One is the Wilding AI project. So I built these sonic agents, and then usually when I run into a roadblock, if I don't know what to do further with stuff, I tend to invite people to work with me and figure out how these sonic agents might be used in different ways. So we've been initiating this collective research creation project with 8 and growing number of artists. And over the next year, we're actually going to kind of go very large scale in working with like spatial audio systems, with different festivals around the world for people to basically use the system that I built, the sonic agents, and like see if there's different ways that we can use it, what happens when we like tell different stories for the sonic agents, different memories, etc. And to see if it's an interesting way to compose kind of pieces that for like a big audience can kind of create these relationalities that we've been talking about. So that's one direction. It's very big for this project, it's the complete opposite. I'm trying to like go very, very small. And that's where the project that I want to work on now, or that I'm working on now, Feral.ai comes in. So what I've been doing is basically using all this architecture that has been running on a very powerful computer, and put it on the smallest device possible in order to make it like embodied and mobile. So what I've been doing is like I've been putting it on these little Raspberry Pis. So basically, and it's a challenge, like kind of situated machine learning, which usually depends on like large computing power to put it on like the smallest device possible, has been a challenge, but it's working now. So all the large, not so large language models anymore, like very tiny language models, the sound classification and the sound generation are all able to run with a lot of tweaking and working on these small devices. So I'm basically, the idea was to create embodied sonic agents. So each one of these agents basically each Raspberry Pi has the same architecture as this, but you can actually take the thing and carry it around and like place it in different places. And what I really want to explore with this project, I mean, on one hand, there's the technical aspect, the whole kind of situated machine learning in kind of an antithesis to like the large language models, to like generative AI paradigms, etc. But then further, kind of based on the work with Soundscapes of an Earthly Community, to use these agents as a testing environment of what different relationships between technology, humans, and nature could look like. And I'm really inspired by like Black ecologies and Black technoscience. So drawing up on the multifaceted relations that Black communities have formed with their natural and built environments, and the kind of more than human relationships, the reciprocity and kinship across space and time. And it's really I'm not sure if you know about the maroons of the Great Dismal Swamp, for instance. So the North American history of slavery, the idea that a lot of people were taken from Africa and put into like non-native lands, and then some of them managed to escape, and they formed communities that were kind of outside of the dominant paradigm. The Great Dismal Swamp is one of them. So in the southern United States, runaway slaves went deep into the swamps, like very inaccessible territory, to actually form kind of autonomous communities, where it was not their homeland. It was non-native land. So they had to form kind of completely new relationships with environment that was like not known to them. So that's kind of the traditions that I want to explore here, especially with this idea of feral, because feral, like in a way it means wild, but it means wild after escaping from captivity or domestication. So someone or something that used to be domesticated, in this case, used to be a slave, runs away, and then creates like a new kind of wildness, a new kind of ferality, a new kind of relationship with their natural environments, but also like other like human communities, like the maroons of the Great Dismal Swamp formed a lot of relationships with like indigenous peoples of the lands as well, that were like outside of the kind of settler colonialist paradigm. So translating that into the work that I'm doing now is basically like having on one hand the kind of continuing settler colonialist approaches, which I think like the latest renditions of AI are just like another kind of example of that. And then having this kind of work of feral AI as an antithesis to that, inspired by the kind of ferality, by the resistance, by the histories of Black communities that ran away. Yeah, I'm gonna share, like I'm gonna bring a lot of readings. I have like a lot of books on the histories of that, on Black utopias, etc. So because I'm coming by car, I'm probably just gonna come with like a whole library for people to like just like read through and share and learn more about. Here are just some of them, which I can recommend reading if you want to learn more about that. And yeah, this is just like black ecologies is the idea of the maroons, and then black techne is a concept developed by Beth Coleman, which just kind of like extrapolates that idea into technology. There's a great article called "The Technology of the Surround" that Beth Coleman wrote, which kind of explicates that a bit more, which I'm also can share. Um, but yeah, these are kind of the core ideas. So this I already talked about. But basically, the Raspberry Pis, I guess what I wanted to say here is they cannot walk and they cannot move. So the idea that at Soundscapes of an Earthly Community, they were deciding movement. These are not going to decide movement, but they're going to do a lot more storytelling and like kind of an evolutionary history, which I'm very excited to like share like every day. So every day they're going to write like a diary entry about the experiences that they had. And the idea is to, yeah, I'm also like very interested in the kind of care work that it will take to actually take these little delicate computers and like show them around the farm and let them like interact with their surroundings and the kind of stories that they will tell, and almost like a multi-species ethnography. It's like, okay, I'm just releasing them, letting them interact sonically with the microphones and like tiny little speakers and like and what the stories that they might be telling at the end of the day. It's very cute. Like I've been doing it a lot, and it's like very wholesome. Yeah, so I'm very curious to just like arrive at the farm and explore together with the Sonic agents. I don't want to know that much about all this around. I know like we shared a bunch of stuff already, but I'm really like in exploration mode. I want to like go in with like the least amount of knowledge as possible in a way. I mean, there's some cool things, the beavers and like the animals and the creeks, etc. So that's already very exciting. But yeah, I'm also like, okay, I just want to like arrive and feel the space and then kind of together with my Sonic agents explore the area. I guess what I was curious about is like if you know of any histories of like Black communities in the area that might have been there in the past, and like what their relationship might have been over the years, if there's any history, any reading to explore. And yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now. But happy to answer any questions. I'm not sure if that was very coherent. I feel very scattered, but
There are a lot of questions, right, on the chat. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Maurice. And Sunju, you have chat. So interesting hear about people who went away.
Yeah, just a remark, not really a question. Really nice to hear about your stories of people who ran away into swamps, and I wonder, like, if the swampy environment sort of sparked certain unique knowledge or culture while these people had to adapt. Well, that could be maybe a question. I'm curious to hear more about these people. And yeah, I'm also very much curious about tiny models, because the experiments that I'm doing with the electricity generating mud cells, they generate such little electricity, but I'm always a bit curious, like if one day I could maybe find a way to get a very small AI model to be ran by this garden or the mud cells. So yeah, I'm very curious about what you are researching.
Yeah, thank you. Um, well, I mean, the relationships that are formed, like there's a lot to talk about them, but I can say that it was like not cute and not fun. Like so, and I think that's something to remind ourselves of because the like the Great Dismal Swamp is always kind of described as like, oh my God, it's like amazing. The runaway slaves just like created their own community and they were autonomous and they could just do what they do. It's like the swamp is not a nice place to be. It's like not, it's a hostile environment.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, they were
Yeah,
able to get their freedom, but like,
yeah.
yeah. So I think
Yeah, I think that's
that's,
why it was especially intriguing that it was a swamp area.
yeah.
And I guess nobody really wants to live in that kind of condition. But
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And I mean, people used to hunt slaves, but they were just like, I'm not going to go in the swamp. It's like it's too hostile of an
oh,
environment. So and that's why they had
okay,
to choose it because it was the
yeah,
only place that they could actually go without people like chasing them. So it's
yeah,
yeah, and the tiny models, yeah, I mean, it's getting there's more and more stuff out there. I'm not sure if you'll be able to run them on mud cells just yet, but I was quite impressed with like for at least for the purposes that I have which is not about accurate prediction at all. It works like super fine with the smallest model that I have. And it's actually like a lot more interesting than like the stuff that the big models bring out. Like it's like a lot more like challenging in a way. So that's interesting. Um, yeah. But I can also share more about like the architecture and the structure of things at the farm if you're
yeah,
interested to learn more about that.
yeah. I'm curious.
And yeah, I currently have been reading some of books about the carrying systems and how the nature and how the American natives just landscape. But there was a lack of resources about the Black community, how they adopted the nature. I mean the landscape from the I mean so. Yeah, it would be love to, I mean, it would be very great to know about the Black community there. So yeah, I'd love to have let us make the sonic soundscape and also the have any discussion about the Black community there. Yeah, so yeah. So do you have any other questions about the Maurice research? Any comments?
I guess just the last thing I wanted to say, the workshop that I want to do on field recording
Mm-hmm.
is basically I was thinking about how because right now I've only been working on it, but I would love for this to become like a participatory project. Like maybe eventually like each one of you can have their own sonic agent. The
Mm-hmm.
idea for like the carnival and also for Korea is to actually have like 4 or 5 of them so yeah, if like people are interested, like I'm very open to just like open things up and like you can like create your own stories for the agents. You can like feed them with your field recordings and kind of make it personal. That would be super lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not to add to anyone's like plate of work. I know everyone is very busy, but I'm just want to like offer that if people are curious and into that.
Yeah. Then can you make a sound by our iPhone there when we visit there? I mean,
The recording?
yeah, when we have a
Yeah.
field recording.
Yeah,
Oh,
like I think it sounds like a bunch of people are bringing their own recorders.
mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like phone will also totally do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also happy. I bring 3 different recorders. I'm also happy to share that with people.
Yeah. Okay, then. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing. And I'm so excited to see how you guys is I mean you all of yours workshops and works and researches happen in the residency. So and as you know, this is the last meetings before we are heading to the residency. So if you have any questions and any concerns about the time, then just please let us know, let Louisa and I know about your concern. And we'd love to, actually, our initial plan was to share some schedules and specific details about the residency, but some of you, we are waiting for some of your detailed plan for the workshop. So we are waiting for that one. So when we receive the old plans, then we can share the some schedules, and then by email. And what else? What else? So these days, Luisa and I are updating on the Discord about the residency. So, and Marie too. So please check the notifications. And then, Marie, you have any anything to add comments? Because you are building some, I mean, the tents, and if you wanna let us know any anything to prepare for the time.
I don't think I have a lot to add that we haven't already talked about. We have this weekend, we'll be putting up the last 2 tents, and we've got all of the things that we need to set them up. We've been through, I mentioned in the Discord, we've been through one big storm. So it was the first test of the tent with the tarp up, and it stayed dry. It was 30 to 40 millimeters of rain with high winds overnight. So I was happy to see that everything was dry, but it's still you're not as safe as being inside. So I'm trying to make sure there's, waterproof storage for any electronics and that sort of thing. So I'll try to make sure it's all set up for you so you don't have to worry about it. Each tent will have like one outlet worth of electricity in it, and that will be running a light on it. So you wouldn't be able to run a lot of things in the tent at once. So if someone who's comfortable in the tent is needing a lot more electricity, let us know in advance, and maybe we can try to get more set up for it. There's one tent in particular that will have easier access to more power.
I have a question for Mary. Sorry, Mary.
Yeah, no worries.
Because I'm coming from Winnipeg, I just kind of wanted to know what the weather's kind of like and sort of what kind of clothing to pack and things like that. If it gets cold at night, or
it does get cold at night, yeah. So warm sleeping clothes and slippers are encouraged. So the forecast right now, it is pretty like standard for this time of year. So it's like 21, 22 degrees is the warmest it gets in the day. And then it goes down to, between 10 and 15 degrees at night, with maybe the odd night below that. So it's been a really unusually wet year, but we're kind of expecting every year to be unusually wet because the area is supposed to get more and more water. So we've had bigger storms. So yeah, rubber boots or some sort of waterproof footwear is really helpful. And we have a few extra raincoats, but we definitely don't have 10 extra raincoats. So.
In the Discord, there are rubber boots available for us, or
there are a couple of pairs. We don't have 10 pairs of rubber boots for everybody's foot size. But,
okay.
But
sorry, one more question. Are we expected to be sleeping in these tents? And
so there's three tents. So 3 people will be sleeping in tents. And you saw the pictures in Discord of the tent? The first one
with the kids and the rain test. I saw those ones.
Yeah,
You
so
standing up. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's like standing room. It's a larger space than some of the bedrooms, is it? Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, similar space to the bedrooms. So we'll be sending pictures with the furniture set up in them and everything,
They'll have beds and desks
carpets
and
and
yeah.
so 3 people will be in them. We haven't quite landed on a method for selecting spaces yet. But I think that it may be, some of it will be, I think, dictated by when people come and specific needs for setup. And I think that there's going to be room for, I mean, how many people are scared of being in a tent?
Yeah, but yeah, so you? Okay, Erika.
I am a bit,
Okay.
but like, I mean, I want to do it.
Mhm.
I just don't know how I'm going to react.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, I'm up for the challenge,
Yeah,
We
right.
can,
but I'd like a little bit of leeway if things go sideways.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, we were planning to have a rather game or drawing lots when people arrive there, because it's you can choose randomly, you can choose the room randomly, but if you guys have any concerns and any specific request, then you can, if we are all agree, then you can choose a specific room. But base is that just randomly pick up the room, and then you can discuss with us, then we can allocate the rooms for you. Yeah. But Erika, if you because I think there are people to just wanna explore the tent, right? I mean, like me or Maurice. So yeah, and Sunju. So yeah,
Like maybe we'll itemize all the spaces.
Mhm.
We can have people kind of sign up, and if people sign up for multiple, you can sign up for multiple, and then we can figure out from
Right.
there.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Marie and Bob and Louisa and I were preparing for this for a long time, and we wanna you guys are feel comfortable with staying, because this is not a short time. It's a week. So yeah, we want to make an environment for you to feel more comfortable, and you to focus on your research and our activities. So yeah, just please let us know if I'm not sure.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I have-
just
I
that
have-
I also don't really know if I'll be okay sleeping in the tent or not. I will probably know after the first night.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But we
Maybe
can,
I'll really like it. Maybe I will not be able to sleep. I don't know.
yeah,
Just-
right. Because
Every
Yeah.
space has upsides and
right.
downsides. I'll just say that, like
Yeah,
every
sometimes.
space has upsides and downsides, and the tents are like it will not so much be roughing it. Like it'll be a tent. You'll be warm. You'll have like there's definitely upsides to being in a tent.
Right.
Yeah, so I might really like it.
Yeah.
I will have to experience it, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because I think it can also. Oh, sorry. Just that I have some experiences of like artist residencies of like staying in this kind of environments, and once I got a very luxurious room, a bit like a tent, but not really, and then was actually not so comfortable for me. So I think it kind of depends on just how I will feel, but yeah, just to. Probably it's gonna be nicer than the one that I just mentioned. Yeah.
Right. So we can adjusting the situation. So yeah, because we all don't know about how we feel the tent and the environment, but I want you to try, at least try the new to adjust the new experiments, right? So I mean new experience, yeah. And there's a thing that I would love to share about the schedule, because Sunju will arrive in the residency 12, right?
Yeah.
And then Maurice, Francois will depart from the residency 14th. So there is a very limited time to share the workshops. And when we all together, it's only for 3 days. So that's why we want to arrange some schedule between 12 to 14th. So yeah, so it would be very hectic for 3 days, but so that's yeah, I want to share that hectic schedule during 3 days, but before that or after that, it would be very flexible to have any activities between us. So yeah, and then I want you to stay healthy before the residency. Yeah, because these days New York City is very crowded with people, and it is the coronavirus is spreading now. So I want you to be in a good health. And then if you guys don't have any other questions, yeah, I'd love to see on Discord and meet you in person very soon. Okay. Yeah. Bye. Thank you for your time
Thank you,
today.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks. Have a
guys.
nice weekend. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Mhm.